I don't know if the Knicks are winning, if the Knicks are losing. We just know that things are happening.
Yes.
Gotta start the podcast real soon. I see you guys on Instagram popping up. What's going on, Hoops? We coming through real soon. Gotta start the podcast. Have my little ham snack. That's why I love the holidays. You just grab a slice of ham and just eat it as a snack. Like, snack time. I love snacks.
Your little ham snack. Did you even warm the ham?
No. Why would I warm the ham?
You're eating cold ham.
I'm eating room temperature ham. Yeah, it used to be cold. You got a problem with cold ham?
Yes.
You don't even know what it tastes like.
Yes, I do. I had it earlier today. Well, actually, yesterday.
You ain't had this piece. It's that magical piece. Levels is good? Levels is good? Alright, let's go ahead and bring in Podbean, because you know, Podbean, they get antsy. I think we got everybody in here. Levels is good, levels is good. The levels is good. Let's test this out. What a boy.
Okay. Big man, you want to hear some hot takes? Let's see how woke you are. You know something about podcasts?
Oh, yeah.
Hell, digga, man.
Yeah.
Get me on one, man.
I like that.
I got these 3 drunk uncles with a sports podcast. They say they got fire takes, pure fuego. You find them wherever you listen to podcasts at. If it's what they say it is, you like and you subscribe. Listen, like, and subscribe, yeah. You know how to call into the show? Yeah, man. Do the podbean. You'll need headphones with a mic to call in. That's no problem, man. They'll also be at Sharky's, 8:07 p.m. on the first Wednesdays of the month. You may get some free Blue Chew. And they keep receipts or so. If anything happens in the sports world, MyT's gonna drop a take faster than a rabbit gets fought. There's only 3 things I have in this world. My word, my balls, and this podcast. And I don't break them for nobody. MyT Sports Season 7.
Oh, is that my cue? I think that's my cue. Alright. What's going on? Good evening, and welcome back to another edition
of the MyT Sports Podcast.
I am your host, the one and only $1 Taylor. I got my niece over there, the one and only Munchkin. How you doing today, Munchkin? Say what's up to the people one time.
What's up to the people one time?
So technical. We have a big show today. We have a mighty big show today. A mighty big show today. It is February 29th.
No, it's not.
It is December 29th. We're a couple of days away from the New Year. So means we are 2 days away. We are less than 48 hours. Peoples. To be honest with you, we are less than 27 hours away from a New Year. Wait, today's Wednesday. Wait, I'm tripping. I'm acting like today's Friday. Today ain't Friday. Today's Wednesday. Okay, wait a minute. Wait, I'm still right though. I'm still right. When's the New Year? Saturday? We got today the 29th. We got the 30th. We got the 31st. And we got the... Whatever. We're moments away.
Yes.
Alright, we're moments away from the New Year's. And folks, as the New Year's comes, with people having their New Year's resolution and all kinds of new things, folks, we have a bunch of big things that happens right before New Year's as well. One of them is going to be the college football players. We have that coming up, right? We have the birthday party that's going to start off the podcast. You know how we start off every single podcast. Apparently, COVID is done. It's finished. It's kaput. It's finito. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. Yeah, folks. 2 days away. New Year's. Right around the corner. Right around the corner. You know we got our Knicks talk. You know we got our Knicks talk. That's going to be in the first hour of the podcast. We're going to have our Blue Chew promo code so you guys get your free order of Blue Chew for free on me. We're going to talk about the Lebron James. The L stands for... We'll talk about that later. The L stands for later. ROP to a legendary figure in sports. We have the announcement of the female athlete of the year. We got some Rock Nation sports notables and a whole lot more for you today on the podcast, the Mighty Sports Podcast. And if the co-hosts come into the podcast today, we never know what their schedule. They're on full-blown Caribbean time, right? But if they join, then we'll transfer over and we'll go right into the Drunk Uncles podcast. But until then, this is season 7, episode 4, excerpt 377 of the MyT Sports Podcast. And you guys already know what we do here, regardless of the time. I think like about 9:24. Regardless of the time.
Take that.
And regardless of the weather.
We play to win the game. Hello?
Even she knows that. It's always a good time to talk some sports. So... Let's start talking. Woo! Back at it like a sports fanatic. MyT Sports. Woo! It's Wednesday. Why can I hear something? I can hear something. What am I hearing? Turn that down beside you. Yeah, I can hear. I know I'm hearing something. I ain't going crazy. Like, I know I ain't going crazy. New York Knicks currently right now, folks, you know we always have some kind of sports going on in the background. So as it currently stands right now, we have the New York Knicks playing the Detroit Pistons in the background. This game is just about over. We have 13 seconds left in the fourth quarter, and I think I may be a little bit behind. Actually, their time is over, folks. Is that deuce? Did we get a... I'm going to have to watch this game all over again. New York Knicks end up winning this game 94-85. We'll go ahead and talk about that in our Knicks Talk segment of the evening. But we're going to have to start off the show in a couple of weird ways, right? Because, you know what? Let's just get right into it. You guys know how we start the podcast. Season 7, episode 44, excerpt 377 of Mighty Sports Podcast. They said we was going to have highs of 84, lows of 65. Current temperature right now is 72 degrees. And as my boy Chill Will would say, as I like to say, hey yo, DJ MyT, drop that birthday beat for me, because you know we like to start off the podcast with the birthday party. Yeah, because, it's your birthday. We said it's your birthday.
Check it.
Yeah.
Check it.
Yeah, because it's your birthday. We sing happy birthday.
Check it.
Yeah.
Check it.
Yeah. Alright, as you guys know, we start off every single podcast with a little birthday party, folks, where we talk about the birthdays that just passed and the birthdays of today, folks. That's since the last time that we spoke that is. And last time we spoke was on Monday. We took care of Monday's birthdays already. So we got a couple of birthdays for Tuesdays. We got a few birthdays today. Even got a special shout out. We got an honorable mention coming up in the Rock Nation Sports segment coming up later today. We got a big show, right? And so, as I said, folks, we got our Knicks talk. Right, we got our NBA talk in the first hour. We got our Rock Nation Sports, and we're going to go around the NFL in the second hour. And right in between those 2 hours, we going to get a little bit funky. Hope you guys are ready for all this, right? December 28th, right? One birthday to the Samba Drama Star. I don't know who the fuck you is. Sorry. But I want to say happy birthday to the Samba Drama Star. The Samba Drama Star. Shout out to you from the Mighty Sports Podcast. Right? Another birthday on the 28th happened to be one Ty Wallace. Ty Wallace, we know Big Ty from back in the day. He's the best friend of one of my niece's fathers. Right? You know, you guys understand, right? One of the air quote nieces, right? One of my little ones, right? Right? He's the best friend of her father. So I want to say shout out to Big Ty. He used to live down here in Florida. He don't live longer living for. I forgot what the fuck. I think he moved to Texas or some shit. Everything's bigger in Texas. If you got a name like Big Ty, you got to figure that you'll be just automatically gravitated to Texas. Also, that take care of all of our birthdays for today. For yesterday. Now let's get into our birthdays for today, folks. The birthdays for today, we have a few of them. Why is that camera glitching like that? So I got a new camera, folks. And you see that shit that's going on there? That's the new camera. And I don't know what the hell is going on there. Alright, so we're going to take Munchkin off the screen. Sorry about that, Munchkin. The people won't be able to see your ashiness. Right? Oh, I got an ashy story for you guys too. Right? Now that I remember. Thank you, Munchkin, for reminding me. Right? So the birthdays today, right? We have one birthday for Mr. D. Styles, Demetrius. Also have a birthday for one Ray Allegra. Ray Allegra happens to be a former co-worker of mine back when we were slinging warranties together. Basically, you guys know that phone call that you guys keep, keep avoiding these days, where somebody's calling you about your car's extended warranty. That used to be me. Like, what was that? Like 15 years ago. 15 years ago? Yeah, 14, 15 years ago. That used to be me. And I was working with my boy Ray. So you know what I mean? I don't know about now because I feel like everybody's up on game now. But back then, 14 years ago, that shit was sweet. I'm talking about people were signing like 10 deals a week individually, 20 deals a week.
I punch you one day for some reason.
And I was their supervisor. I was teaching them how to do these sales. I had to get off that.
No, I said, for some reason I want to punch him one day, just one time. Back of the head.
Yeah, that used to be me back in 2007, 2008. That was me calling you about your extended warranty. That was definitely me. It was good money back then. It was real good money back then. Listen, I ain't gonna lie to you. A lot of the laws that are now come about dialing, cold calling, and even signing up and signing warranties was also because of the company that I used to work for. Yo, we were game changers. Extraordinary motherfuckers. So I want to say birthday shout out to Ray Allegra. Also, bring that beat up. Yo, DJ MyT. Don't just kill the beat yet. Bring that back up for me. We ain't done yet. Yeah. Also want to say happy birthday to my primo, my cousin, Jason Leroy. See, we already gave you guys a pretext to this one already, right? Jason Leroy happens to be the cousin of my boy Lewis. Like I said, who also happens to be the cousin of somebody that we mentioned last week named Rara. Actually, in the last show named Rara. Yeah, folks, they all have a birthday within 5 days of each other. And like I said, back in the days, there used to be something to party with Jason Leroy, Rara, and Lewis Mejia back in the days when they all had that birthday around the time. Listen, it was outside of my own birthday week. This is probably the other week I used to look forward to because it was non-stop fun. You basically roll straight from Christmas, right, into a party, and then you go to another, and then when it's a party, then it's Christmas, then it's another party, then it's New Year's, and it don't stop. And also, want to send out another little special birthday shout out. I didn't get the chance to catch your name, sweetheart, so unfortunately you're just gonna be described as Fan's daughter. But I did see that my boy Jonathan Fan, that his little girl was having a birthday, and he asked for us to give her, to help wish his little girl a happy birthday. So here on the Mighty Sports Podcast, we'll wish Jonathan Fan's daughter a happy birthday. And also, if this happens to be the daughter that you share with Caitlin Colbert, I'll be remiss I'll be irresponsible to not also add her in here as well. Yes, so if this is the child that you guys share, I would like to say happy birthday to Jonathan fans and Caitlin Colbert's daughter. Alright, that is the birthday party for you guys. That's a short birthday party. So one time for the one time. You ready? You ready? You ready? Yeah, because yeah, it's your birthday. We said it's your birthday.
Check it.
Yeah.
Check it.
Yeah, because it's your birthday. We sing happy birthday.
Check it.
Yeah.
Check it.
Yeah, so to Sombra, and to Ty, and to Demetrius, and to Ray, and to Jason, and to fans, the little one. We wish you a happy birthday. We hope you party hard. We hope you enjoy everything. We hope you regret nothing. But more importantly, throughout not only today on your birthday, but throughout life and through all the endeavors that you do, you continue to stay 2 guns up. MyT! Woo! Now, DJ MyT, I'm gonna need you to cut that beat. Right? There's no easy way to do these transitions. There's no real easy way to do some transitions, right? Like sometimes, you just have to you just have to kill the birthday party and go somewhere else. And that's kind of what we're doing. We're killing the party because somebody has died. We would like to say, I start off the podcast officially, right, by saying rest in peace to one John Madden. Now, for those in the sports world, John Madden is probably one of the biggest names in sports outside of probably like Michael Jordan in a weird way. Because John Madden, right, died. Let's back a little. Born April 10th, 1936, passed away December 28th, 2021. Folks, we just got the news this morning that he passed away yesterday. He's a figure. He's a ridiculously iconic figure. But even better than an iconic figure, he was a hell of a football coach. But he's an icon in football, period. And even more than like an icon or I want to call him a football. Actually, I think he's an icon in sports. He's a football deity. That's really what he is, especially now. He's basically a football deity. I'm going to mention 2 things about John Madden. 2 facts about John.
What does that mean? What does that mean to the 5-year-old crowd of the sports world?
Well, see, that's the thing about it, is that John Madden.
I mean, just what you just said. He's a football deity. Explain what that is to the 5-year-old IQ of the sports world.
Oh, to the 5-year-old that's listening, or to the 10-year-old that's in the room listening. He transcends football. Like he is bigger than. He's one of those people that he's.
Worship.
You know how they say that.
Or a point of worship.
Yeah, he is bigger than football. He is worshipped. Like, to be honest, when I'm saying that, he's a football god. He should be worshipped as a football god. Like you in the past, we used to have the god of the sky, people that talk to the god of the earth, the god of the water, god of the wind, god of the trees. You know, he's the god of football. And it's odd because depending on what you're obviously exposed to, right? But in the right environment, I think there's 3-year-olds that may be familiar with the name John Madden. John Madden didn't have a ridiculous football playing career, right? He only played, I think, only managed to play a few games in his rookie season, if that, before suffering an injury and didn't get a chance to play again. But he would get a coaching opportunity by one Al Davis, right? Former owner of the Oakland, now Las Vegas Raiders. And it will be then that his career would really start to take off. he would finish his career with a record of 103 wins, 32 losses, 7 wins, regular season. Or 7 ties, regular season. That's a 76% winning percentage. Now, in the playoffs was a little bit different. In the playoffs is where, obviously, when you win that well, whether you're a player, whether you're a coach, general manager, whatever, they're going to stop looking at your regular season record and you start being judged by what you do in the playoffs. Because when you have a record like that, it means that you're making the playoffs. And you're possibly making runs in the playoffs. And he was one of those individuals that was making runs in the playoffs and he was having iconic failures. We're talking about rememberable. I don't remember it, obviously. But memorable stuff. As like similar to us remembering Drew Brees' wide receivers getting mauled in back-to-back years in the playoffs and them losing horrifically because of that. Like that, those kind of horrific losses he was suffering. Until he finally broke through. John Madden not only had a ridiculous coaching career in football, but he would also go on to start transcending football through his commentating career, where, in my personal view, he has, to me, when it comes to football, he has the most recognizable voice in football to me. Like, when I hear John Madden, I know that's John Madden. He doesn't sound like cookie cutter broadcaster, if you know what I mean. He doesn't sound like cookie cutter color commentator. What's that? He said he sounded like... Well, he did have moments where... John Madden did have moments where you can tell that he was just fumbling over words and he would just go off the emotion. He'd be like, get to the chopper. He'd be over there sounding like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Chopper. To bacon. There's a couple of things that are synonymous with John Madden if you don't know. I want to say the thing that we all probably know of, forefront, that we know, that we're well aware of, is the Madden game that he has. Right? It was named after him. A Madden game that took 2 years for him to agree to. Just to let you guys know. When Electronic Arts first approached him with the concept of starting the Madden game, he didn't sign with them. He told them, that's not real football that you try to put out there. Because they didn't have the technology to make it 11-on-11 football. They could only make it 7-on-7. When they was trying to push it out. Which basically sounds like Tecmo Bowl, right? But they were trying to push out a 7-on-7 game. And Madden was like, I'm not putting my name to that. When you make it look like real football, then I'll put my name to it. 2 years later, a couple more bits get added to the software. Now we have what's now known as Madden. And this Madden game would go on to be, like I said, that's why I said that, depending on what kind of household you're in, you may be familiar with the Madden name at 3 years old. I'm trying to think first moment of kids' consciousness, right? Kind of thing, right? Full-blown consciousness where you could just regurgitate, but you can probably, if that person's dad or if they're out there playing that football game or see the football game in their household, just like in my household, from 3 years old, they could probably identify what 2K is. Between my household and my brother's household. All of his children can identify what 2K is. Now, there's not a voice with 2K, but it can identify 2K. That's like how most people can if the same thing is happening in households where they play Madden the way that me and my brother play 2K, the same thing is probably happening. Madden in itself is the premier football game to this date. They've had other football games that have come through in the past. NFL Blitz, Tecmo Bowl. Who else? I think, did 2K even try a football game at one time? I think they did.
Other than Madden, and they bought it out. Game Day, yeah, Game Day. And 2K was on the Dreamcast.
Yeah.
Good 2K. It was way better than Madden. And they bought it out though.
That's what they did.
And they couldn't. And they took the rights.
That's right. What's the exclusive? I remember.
10, yes, and they still haven't. They actually just ran out maybe last year. parts of the patent where they can now other people can start making NFL games, but they can't use their names.
Yeah. And I think that I think that's actually what happened. Yeah, they ended up getting the exclusive rights to the NFL. EA did, and then that's what. And listen, and honestly, that's what helped save 2K with basketball. Is that they didn't secure those same rights for basketball.
No, well, I don't think that had anything to do with it. I think 2K would have took over. Madden would have been gone. Period. Because 2K was making such a better product. Because really, all Madden does, they put in certain what did you call it? Little they just put in and take away the same movements. What's the movements called? The little animations and back and forth. They take them away 1-2 years and then put different ones. It's the same game they're deploying pretty much every year for the last 10 years. So that's pretty much what they do. But what 2K did, they established an online, universe.
Yeah, oh yeah. So, but they did that first, and then.
And that's what happened with 2K. That's why 2K blew up.
Well, a little bit before that is when they blew up. Before they started their online universe, because it was almost synonymous.
I mean, with basketball, yeah. Basketball, it was better than NBA Live.
Yeah. No. It wasn't even that. If you remember specifically, right? EA's NBA Live was still coming out, and 2K was coming out, and they were still basically coming out every single year, competing with each other. EA took off a year. EA took off 1 year and didn't drop an NBA Live. They said this honestly. They were taking off a year to go to drop one next year because they wanted to really go back and revamp the game. That year is when 2K got the rights to Jordan finally. When somebody finally got the rights to Jordan. Remember that? Remember nobody could get Jordan's rights properly. 2K got the rights that.
They a lot of people's rights. They couldn't get a lot of people's rights.
So I think it was
it's a lot of people they couldn't get.
But you know that Jordan is that main one that if you could have gotten Jordan's rights to add Jordan to your game, that was really good. So the year that NBA Live didn't come out with a game, 2K did, and it was the Jordan cover game, and that helped steal all of that. And then the next year after that, they dropped Jordan twice. But the very next year is when they finally started playing around with their online community. And then because of how
that's what blew them up. Though.
Yeah, it was in phases. It was because it was the Jordan phase first.
I mean, 2K was better. Period. Though I can tell you that 2K been better since they started. Since 2K deployed that game, whoever does that, I'm not quite sure who makes that game.
Well, you know what?
If it's Sony, if it's
whoever
makes that game,
Take-Two Interactive.
Better than EA Sports.
Take-Two Interactive makes that game. It's the same people that make Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, so they are better than EA Sports. Like NBA Live did take off that year, and they came out with a better game. That game still was not as good enough, and in some ways it would even look better than 2K. But the gameplay was horrible.
And you also, you know what though? 2K actually fixed something that I think was like. For me as a gamer that used to play both sometimes, there was one thing that I couldn't stand was 2K's dribble control. They didn't have proper dribble control.
Man, it was so bad.
It was horrible. Like you basically had to move the direction stick, like not the other one, like basically the one that causes movement. You had to move that back and forth to try to do a crossover. They had no loose ball handling skills, but EA had that. And I remember that was the one reason why EA
had better control.
Yeah, that's the reason why 2K could never get me in the beginning because of that. Because of that one thing. But the 1 year they didn't drop a game, I'm a basketball fan. I need my basketball game. I went to 2K that year and never looked back. EA came back. I remember when EA came back and I tried the game. I'm gonna tell you when I finally tried the game though. It's the only reason why I tried playing EA again after that was because they were the first one to include the WNBA in their game. And I'm a big supporter of the WNBA. So the year that they brought the WNBA in their game, I bought both games that year, EA and 2K. And EA was trying to catch up to 2K basically. They were basically now doing everything that 2K was doing, but they were 2 years behind. And you can see it.
But that's the thing. 2K came out that year they came out 2 years ahead of them. Period. Like it just how they dropped, it came so hard. They was never gonna recover because they was just already ahead of the game. Even with the football, bro. Even with the football, they bought that game out. It was so good that they bought the exclusive rights to the NFL and bought that game out.
Yeah, because you guys don't realize, buying the exclusive rights to the NFL basically drowns out all other competition because people want authenticity. And if you're just gonna be playing with Joe Harris and Phil Smith and you know what I mean and Timmy Taylor, like instead of Lawrence Taylor and all the other names that you can imagine that I was mumbling up together, you know, it means something. People want to play with the actual players, not just a representation of their team. But back to John Madden a little bit because I didn't want to. This is a eulogy to John Madden. So it's the Madden game. That's one, right? And everybody's well aware of the Madden game. And it even got to the point where there's even two things that's like it's a double-sided coin with the Madden, right? Everybody wants to be named to the Madden All-Star team. Nobody really wants that Madden cover. But they want the Madden cover. They just don't want the curse that goes on. It was a Madden cover curse. But it's a beautiful thing that like still, it was something to be remembered. Like I remember growing up, I always wanted, I don't know how things are now with the kids, right? I'm pretty sure they still have that same feeling. I don't care anymore these days, right? But probably because of my age. But I couldn't wait to see who they was going to have on the cover every single year. Like that's a big thing to me. I want to know who's going to be the cover athlete. Just so, and I want to know who the cover athlete as an adult is. That's how I don't put him on my fantasy football team. You know, that Madden curse is real. As you guys know, something else that Madden it may be very openly known for, another little fun fact and tidbit, is that Madden bullet bus that he likes to ride, right? That tour bus that he takes everywhere is because, I don't know if you guys know, Madden is claustrophobic and he doesn't like to fly. So that's the reason why he takes that tour bus everywhere. The origin of that tour bus, he started getting so big that he needed something more accommodating to travel in. He borrowed Dolly Parton. Damn it, how you say her last name? My accent is fucking it up. Dolly, the big titty broad. Dolly Parton. Dolly Parton. Dolly, Mrs. 9, I'm working 9 to 5. Mrs. 9 to 5, right? But he borrowed Dolly Parton's tour bus, fell in love with it, and determined at that point in time that's the only way he could ever travel. Was in some big ass magical bus. Now,
I don't think he liked planes either.
No, that's what it was. That's the reason for the bus. He was claustrophobic and he didn't like flying. So that's So that's where that bus came into play. A behind the scenes thing that people don't realize that Madden is responsible for is how commentators prepare for games. Before Madden came along, all commentators basically did was watch tape to prepare for games. When Madden got there, Madden was like, I'm flying in to go. I want to go fly in and talk to the coach of the home team. I want to talk to the coach of the away team. If I can't talk to these coaches, there's no way I can sit here and talk about them for 3 hours. If I can't get a chance to actually so on-site preparation and that conversation with the coaches in preparation for that week's game started with John Madden. Before then, you had a bunch of lazy ass commentators that was just watching tape and putting their own spin on shit. Basically, they were making their own narratives. John Madden was like, nah, I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna get the real story, I'm gonna get some real information, and I'm gonna have fun with this, and we're gonna add actual insight into the production, that insight that comes from the actual coaches and actual players, not what you guys think that they are thinking. John Madden also made Thanksgiving a big, like he helped the Thanksgiving Day game be as notable as it is today, and also the legendary, is it Turbacon? Turduncan. It's the turkey stuffed with duck and chicken. And as you guys know, every single game, the tradition of getting that turkey drumstick to the outstanding player of the game for that Christmas Day game, that started with John Madden. Also, the company that made the Turduncans, they were making about 60 Turduncans a year when they first started. To this date, they're making about 60,000 every single year. 6,000 alone in the holiday time. It's crazy. He has completely helped transform that company. Now, outside of the Madden game, which is probably one of the most upfront notable things that we know Madden for, Madden is also very much known for something that we take for granted from a production standpoint while watching football. Do you happen to know what that is, Chill Will?
A production standpoint while we're watching football.
Mm-hmm. That we all kind of take for granted when we watch football, but he is solely responsible for this, of making our lives easier.
Talking about the sky cam?
Not the sky cam, but something a little bit more important and a little bit more dated. He is responsible for the yellow first down line.
Oh, okay.
That is also John Madden. He was obviously calling the games. He obviously when you're talking about the first down, you're talking about it. You're constantly telling it to the audience. He inquired with the production staff. Is there a way that we can actually show where the first down marker is? And you know what their response was to him? We're not sure. We will see if we have the technology for it. Now, this is how crazy technology is. Today, we can put Michael Jackson on the field being guarded by Tupac. Right? And you can see them guard each other and run routes. Yet back then, they weren't sure if they could put a simple yellow line on television. Boy, where we've gotten today. And that's all him. Just think about that. The yellow line, the Madden game, the known celebration for the Thanksgiving Day game. The way that commentators now inform us is based off how he went to go seek information. So really, probably the two biggest entertainment standpoints of football he's responsible for. The yellow line and the way information is presented to us is John Madden. Rest in peace, John Madden, at the age of, 71? 81? What is that? 85? 75? 85. 85 years old. That's a nice long life, and more than anything, for him, that's a life with a lot of living. Like, that's a lot of living. Like, I don't think anybody is looking back at John Madden's life, and obviously we know there's going to be people crying and people mourning. Our condolences go out to the family. But I don't think there's anybody that's going to be looking at him like, damn, he got shorted, or damn, he was cheated. Oh, basically, we don't have the same thoughts about John Madden that we have about Kobe. Let's just put it that way. He got to his full extent. He got to do it all, and through his accomplishments, we now have a better football product. And to be honest with you, in a lot of those early years, and I'll probably even say this now, a lot of those early years, what helped me know who was in the league or not, or keep me up to date with players' rosters, was the Madden game. And probably because I no longer play Madden, I haven't played Madden in the last 10 years, it's probably been a direct correlation to my direct knowledge of who players are and what their proper names are. At that. Actually, no, I can't even say that. Because I play NBA 2K, and I still be fucking up all these basketball players' names. Nelson.
ain't lying about that.
Oh man. So I want to switch gears for a little bit, right? And I want to switch gears from the somber moment of John Madden to something a little bit more upbeat, something a little bit more personal, something a little bit more a little closer to the vest, something that I like to call my Knicks talk. My Knicks talk. I know we spent about 15 minutes in the dark talking about John Madden's losing his spark, but you know we're gonna come back here and we're gonna have our Knicks talk. Our Knicks talk. Is that your Izzyland impersonator? Is that what you just drew? The Izzyland chick? The Izzyland impersonator chick you drew, right? Azzyland impersonator chick. Strawberry Apple Bottoms? What's her name?
I didn't draw her.
Who did you draw? You drew Ava Avocado. Okay.
No.
Who's Ava Avocado?
No.
What? No, what? It clearly says Ava Avocado on that paper. Who's Ava Avocado? So apparently my niece drew an avocado with hair.
No.
What? You didn't say that was Ava's avocado. Am I tripping?
No.
Oh man, there's something wrong with this kid. Alright, so let's get back to our Knicks talk. New York Knicks currently have a record of 16-8. They are on an incredible 2-game winning streak. I'm being facetious by saying they're on an incredible 2-game winning streak. But they are on a 2-game winning streak, folks. Currently now they have moved themselves back up. And they are now, again, 4th in the conference. Right? And with that, they are now again within the play-in tournament. So they are now back in post-season contention. Right? They are now sitting in the 10th in their division, folks. Now they had a little 2-game winning streak once again. One over Atlanta, one over Minnesota. New York Knicks haven't had a 2-game winning streak since the beginning of the season when they started off the season their season 5-1, folks. Actually, due to the completion of this recent game as well against Detroit, New York Knicks are currently now on a 3-game winning streak, which they haven't been on in feels like forever. Now, there's something that I really needed to thank you. There's something that I actually really needed to mention coming into this podcast, right? And that was about one class act Kemba Walker, who has been one of the more polarizing figures for the Knicks since he's joined them. Right? And we're talking about from the very beginning, from the moment that he signed with the Knicks. That news made big splashes. Very shortly after his signing, a first miniature controversy was attempted to be thrown in the Knicks' way when it came to the discussion of who was going to be the starting point guard for the Knicks. Even from then, we saw not just Derrick Rose, but even Kemba Walker be complete professionals and be completely classy, right? In their response on who was going to be on how he was going to take on that starting role, on how he got that role, or on how he feels about getting that starting role, or how he feels about his role, period, with the Knicks. And even then, he mentioned that, you know what? To him, it really doesn't matter if he starts or if he comes off the bench. One, he knows is about how you finish games more than anything else, right? And also, and it's also he's always mentioned that it's about the team more than anything else. Kemba Walker would again be tested as he would end up losing his starting role. Not his starting role, he will end up losing his role in the lineup, period. After he lost his role, he was questioned again about losing his role in the lineup. Again, class act Kemba made an appearance. And he talked about, listen, it's never been about him. It's about the team. And he wants to make sure that he's a professional, not just for himself, but for also the other guys that are on this team as well, these other young guys, so they can see how to handle this kind of adversity. Which did great, because when you bench a guy like Kimba, right, or remove a guy like Kimba from the rotation, it does send a message to your whole entire lineup. Right? A lineup that 50% of it is young guys, that if they don't put in effort, you already know Tom Thibodeau has no problem pulling the cord on them, right? But now what Kimba did is that, hey, when he pulls the cord on you, now you can't complain about shit. Which some of these guys are probably like, man, I don't know why I can't get more bird. Man, I could ball out here. Man, Tibbs ain't out here, man. He blocking my shine. And now you see what happened when Kimba did it. Kimba was like, nah, I'm going to come out here, I'm going to go to practice. I'm going to give 110% in practice. I got a 110% story for you guys. I just remembered this story. I got a 110% story for you guys. Right, but he gets 100%, 10% in practice. Right, like he's doing everything as if he's still starting, and that resonates with all of the individuals in the locker room, especially the younger guys. And even Julius Randle could, even though he's been in the league like 7 years, he's younger than Kimba, he can also still be shown how to handle scenarios. So even somebody like Julius Randle is learning from Kimba's actions. But now Kimba comes back. And the reason why we continue to call him Class Act Kimba was because he came back and he set a mental goal for himself. To come out and be more assertive, be more this, be more that, and he was all of that and a bag of chips, averaging over 30 points per game in his 4-game return. Even putting up a triple-double on Christmas, doing something that no other Knick has ever done, and Kemba Walker, and all of those accolades would earn Kemba Walker Eastern Player of the Week, folks. And we could not go any further without making sure that we give pure to Class Act Kimba and him becoming Eastern Conference Player of the Week, because even though he didn't have the outpour of emotions that these other two individuals that I'm about to mention had, I feel like in his own way he did. Maybe he's just a little bit more tethered than these guys, right? But in his own way, I feel like he did. Two guys I'm thinking about is when Derrick Rose had that game in Minnesota. That he just likes to hoop, bro. Isaiah Thomas in the Drew Leagues, they forgot about me. Kemba Walker in the Garden, unwrapping a triple-double on Christmas Day. 44 points in a loss against Washington. Now, the New York Knicks did just have an 96 to 88 win over the Minnesota Timberwolves, folks. That will get them their second game in this 2-game winning streak that they just had. Now, I will start off by letting you guys know, like every other team in the league, the Minnesota Timberwolves were ravished by COVID injuries. Unfortunately for them, they would miss out on their 3 biggest contributors: Karl Anthony Towns, D'Angelo Russell, and Anthony Edwards. So we didn't get a chance to see any of those individuals in this game, and the New York Knicks did exactly what they were supposed to do. They not only came away with the W there, but they came out and they started off hot. They started off, I'm talking about Julius Randle started off hot, Evan Fournier, Kemba Walker. Everybody else came out hitting shots except for one reindeer.
Rudolph.
Named Rudolph Jr. Or you guys know him as RJ. RJ Barrett came back horribly. We're going to give him a pass. RJ Barrett's come back from COVID. You can clearly see that COVID is taking a winner. He couldn't do nothing for 10 days. But he has a basketball court in his crib. I mean, I don't know, he got up some shots. He got some shots up, right? Something? But you can see that he was affected by the wind, right? You can see that his cardio took a massive hit that game. You can see him breathing harder than almost any other player on the court. Now, as I said, the New York Knicks came out with a hot start, and it wasn't just Julius Randle and Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier and Quentin Grimes and all those other players that were hot that came off a hot start. It was Mitchell Robinson. It was an advantageous Mitchell Robinson coming out and playing loose, playing confident, and playing aggressive. Also, taking advantage of the fact that there is no Karl Anthony Towns there to match his size, to match his athleticism, or to even, which really helped Mitchell Robinson in this game, or even draw him away from the basket, because we all know that Karl Anthony Towns is a stretch 4, stretch 5, whatever he decides to play that day. And we know that Mitchell Robinson has a problem playing stretches. So with no D'Angelo Russell, no Anthony Edwards, no Karl Anthony Towns, the New York Knicks had a hot starter, and Mitchell Robinson probably had the biggest game of his season during this game. But once again, do what you're supposed to do. When a team doesn't have their 3 biggest contributors, you should take advantage of them. I should come on here the next day and talk about how you were being advantageous. And that's what Mitchell Robinson was. With a season high and a career high 18 rebounds, folks. He was grabbing everything that came off the board. I told you that the Knicks started hot. They didn't continue hot. The New York Knicks in that first quarter was shooting just about like 68%. That would fall all the way down, and they would end up the game with shooting less around like 40%. But all of those misses is what led to Mitchell Robinson's magical game, which also made me think of something else in the midst of all that, right? As you know, sometimes you go through some of these rebound numbers, and if you ever looked at some of the all-time single-game rebound numbers, you just end up realizing, you know what? People just couldn't shoot back then. And you can see why guys like Wilt Chamberlain and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was out there getting 50 rebounds. 50! You can see why those guys are out there getting 50 rebounds a game. Because in a game like this, when the New York Knicks were struggling, Mitchell Robinson managed to come out there and get 20. We've seen guys like the Burrow, Dennis Rodman go out there and get 20, 30. But come on now, 50? Have you seen none of you guys trying to do rebounds? It's just me and everybody else is running? So Mitchell Robinson would lead all individuals on the court with 18 rebounds. He would get his career high with those same 18 rebounds. Now, I'm going to tell you the part about Mitchell Robinson that you may not want to hear as a Knicks fan when I tell you the reality of it. Mitchell Robinson led the team in scoring. He had 30-something points. He didn't have 18 boards and like 32 points because he was getting a lot of putbacks. No. On contraire, mon frère. No. He didn't even have 25 points. No. Didn't break the 20s. Thinking he was in the high teens? Keep pumping your brakes, pimpin'. You're going too fast. He barely hit puberty. 14 points. The New York Knicks beat the Minnesota Timberwolves, being led by Mitchell Robinson's 14 points. Yes, that sounds like a big joke, but I am not joking over here. And folks, oh no, you think it gets better? You think it gets any better? See, you would think that, okay, he had 14 points. That would mean that every other player had double-digit points. Nope. Only 4 other players in double digits for the New York Knicks. One of them happens to be coming off the bench in the name of Quentin Grimes. Now, everybody 8. Right? Taj Gibson's 8. Emmanuel Quickly 8. Alex Burke 8. Taj Gibson's 8. But you expect them to eat. These are eating guys. These are like, jeez. These are eating guys. Now, as you guys know that we don't have any Derrick Rose this game, right? So the mention of Quentin Grimes is going to start picking up, as it seems that Quentin Grimes is Tom Thibodeau's new favorite player this year. Last year was Emmanuel, and you know what I mean. Like last year, it should have been Obi Toppin, but it ended up being Emmanuel Quickly. This year, I feel like it should have been Deuce McBride, but instead, it's Quentin Grimes. And Quentin Grimes is definitely earning every bit of the 31 minutes. Now, granted, he only had 11 points, but he still is a rookie. And he is coming out there shooting just around like 30-40% when he's shooting three-pointers. That is one of the things that got Emmanuel Quickly, that made Tom Thibodeau fall in love with Emmanuel Quickly last year, was his high three-point shooting percentage as well as his defense on the other end. These are two guys, Emmanuel Quickly and Quentin Grimes, that will pick you up on full court. And come right down the court right after that and shoot a 30-foot three-pointer in your eye. These guys have some unconsciousness to them. I can't wait till they take over the backcourt fully. And it's Emmanuel Quickly, Quentin Grimes, R.J. Barrett, Obi Toppin. I don't know what's gonna happen with Julius Randle. Maybe Julius Randle stays in there. And you know, Julius Randle may stay in there because, and he may get Obi Toppin as a 6'9" center, because I am, as we're starting to see more Obi Toppin, right? And Obi Toppin, Munchkin. Obi Toppin these days is, even though he doesn't have a high point production all the time, he always finds himself in the plus minus, right? He always finds himself in the positive, it seems like. And he's always doing all of the little things, right? Obi Toppin only played 11 minutes, right? In those 11 minutes, he had 7 points and 2 rebounds. But if you see the 2 rebounds he gets, one of those is an offensive rebound that he has to chase down. That basically his own players are already running away from the ball. It's those little hustle plays. I really think that if Tom Thibodeau continues to coach, let's say for another 10 years, and Taj Gibson is no longer in the league, if Obi Toppin is a journeyman, Obi Toppin is going wherever Tom Thibodeau goes. Just like how now Derrick Rose and Taj Gibson will always have a job as long as Tom Thibodeau is in the league. I feel that way about Obi Toppin right now when it comes to Tom Thibodeau. If Tom Thibodeau's in the league, Obi Toppin has a job. Can you imagine, Knicks fans? It just hit me that as long as Tom Thibodeau has a job in the league, that Derrick Rose and Taj Gibson will always get the Udonis Haslem in Miami treatment with him. And they will always get a spot. You realize that if we would have had Tom Thibodeau in place a couple of years earlier, not only could we have Derrick Rose, we could have Jimmy Butler as well. I'm just saying. But we're at where we at now, and I'm okay with this because this is now our process, and I don't want to go back with my 2020 tunnel vision. The New York Knicks will win this game 96-88. This game was a whole lot closer than it needed to be, and it really wasn't this close for most of the game. For the majority of the game, the New York Knicks would enjoy a 17 to 20 point lead. Notice the magic number I said in there. Again, a 20-point lead. This game came back down to a 3-point game at one point in time. So, the New York Knicks, once again, got outscored by almost 20 points at some point in time. To a team that didn't have Karl Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards, or D'Angelo Russell. Minnesota's big three. Now, this didn't just happen again in this Minnesota game. It happened in the Atlanta game, and I haven't had a chance to watch this Detroit game yet. When I came and watched this Detroit game, it was less than 2 minutes left. So now it gets me to the other part of the Knicks, right? And I already know what the answer is for most of you guys, right? But you have to realize that the Knicks have a pattern, right? What's going on, bro? The Knicks have a pattern, and part of that pattern is not sustaining their offense. And at some point in time, they get outscored by about 20 points in every game. Now, every game, even the ones where they get outscored by 20, they're down by 20, they end up coming all the way back. Oh, she's over there. You watching the behind the scenes camera. Hold on, if you go on YouTube, right, you'll be able to, I'll pull her up on camera, you'll be able to see her. So she's on camera now.
No.
If you go on YouTube, if you go on Twitch, if you go on Facebook, you go on any one of those other where I have the major feed at, you'll be able to see her. But on the Instagram feed, that's just my behind the scenes camera. So all you get is me and me alone. You don't get anything else. You don't get no titles. You don't get no subtext. You don't get no pictures. You don't get no animations. It's just me and my ODB style, giving it to you raw.
No.
So, where was I? The New York Knicks still have this pattern, right? And I guess now it's all about preference at this time, right? And I already know where everybody's preference is going to be, and because it's where my preference is, right? It's where everybody's preference should be for their team, whether you're a fan of the Knicks or not, right? And that is, if you're going to go down by 20 and manage to get every game to a one possession game. Oh, you should find go to the MyT Sports page on YouTube. If you go look it on YouTube, if you're on my Facebook, it's actually on my personal Facebook page. Who's what? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? I didn't say anything. Now, why are you whispering like people can't hear you? Like I said, you know, it just sounds like a loud whisper when you do that. Like you're not really whispering so people can't hear you. Because if I can hear you, that means you're coming through the mic and everybody can hear you. So you might as well just talk normally. Do you have a question?
I was asking who was that.
Now you're talking into the ground.
I was asking who was that.
Oh, I don't know. So, my pattern of preference, right, is that, and I've mentioned this before, if you're going to go down by 20 and make this a one possession game, why can't you go up by 20? And it's what we actually saw from the New York Knicks these last couple of games. The Atlanta game, the Minnesota game, the Detroit game, they went up early. Go up early. Make the other team expend their energy trying to chase you. And then you learn how to close out games. Because I guarantee you, you'll win a whole lot more games being up by 20 and having the other team trying to race a 20-point deficit versus you being down by 20 and consistently bringing this to a one-possession game. That's the reason why the New York Knicks currently have a record of 16-18 versus a record of 18-16. It's a much simpler flip of that switch. Now, me as a Knicks fan, that's probably where my biggest gripe has been with the Knicks all year. It's the fact that every single game, it seems like there's a 20-point lead that the New York Knicks are giving up. Or every single game, it seems like the New York Knicks are going down by 20. I couldn't take it. And apparently neither can the Knicks. Now, in this latest game that the Knicks played against Minnesota, we saw Kemba Walker play a lot more with the bench squad this time around. And with the absence of Derrick Rose, we may start to see them play around with that starting lineup a little bit more. Whether it's going to be Kemba Walker coming off the bench or Alex Burke coming off the bench, you're going to start seeing that being rotated. One person who's definitely going to be coming off the bench is definitely going to continue to be Emmanuel Quickly. But now, when you see Alex Burke now coming off the bench, Alex Burke is also helping to play that Derrick Rose role with Emmanuel Quickly. where they're both they're both penetrating, they're both actively scoring, they're both the primary ball handler and ball distributors. We mentioned Quentin Grimes earlier, right? And so to go back on him as we keep going through the list of players from the Knicks, it's officially a go on Grimes. We're about where are we at right now? We're 34 games into the season, just about halfway through, and it looks like we are a big go on Quentin Grimes. Quentin Grimes is now, especially now given the circumstance, Quentin Grimes is now one of the rotational pieces for Tom Thibodeau. Again, for a lot of the same reason that I mentioned earlier. He also looks like to be one of Tom Thibodeau's new favorite toys that he likes. Even though Quentin Grimes is shooting 4 for 11 from the field, right, way under 50%, he's 3 for 9 from 3-point range. So damn near every time he's shooting, but all those 3-pointers was just every time he shoots. But the majority of his scoring is coming from the 3-point line. Now, as we are doing a quick dive in onto another game that we have on, folks, we are just about 90 seconds left into the LA Lakers and the Minnesota Timberwolves game. Sorry, Minnesota Timberwolves. My bad. Memphis Grizzlies game. As it currently stands right now, the Lakers are down 100-97. So we'll keep you posted on this game, and we'll see, we'll see if we're able to determine if LeBron James is keeping up his pattern from the last game, and if he's going to be playing center with the absence of Anthony Davis. Something else we're going to talk about as well later on in the podcast. But as we double back down on the Knicks again, right? But it looks like we have a go on Quentin Grimes, and it's based off a lot of stuff that we mentioned earlier. Is that Quentin Grimes' three-point shooting percentage, right? That's 33% in this game. If he makes one more, we talk about 40%, right? But this is around where he's at, right? Mid-30s, like low 40s. That's where the people, they want you to be 34 to 40% from three-point range. That is numbers that help move the needle, but also his tenacious defense. Which, as you know, as somebody that plays for Tom Thibodeau, one of the factors that you're going to be unless you can prove that you are just such a flat-out scorer, that that intense defense isn't required from you, then you're going to have to be like what Emmanuel Quickly is, Quentin Grimes is, Obi Toppin is. You're going to have to prove it on the defensive end first to earn your offense. And even then, your offense still has to still has to be a little bit more comparable. You don't get the benefit of the doubt. You have to prove yourself. It seems that Quentin Grimes is going to be the next guard in line to get major minutes with the absence of Derrick Rose. But again, like I said, with the absence of we mentioned this with the absence of Derrick Rose and when we had the absence of Kemba Walker and Derrick Rose together. But now just talking about the absence of Derrick Rose, in a weird way, this is a low-key blessing in disguise for a Knicks fan. Right? We know how much we want Derrick Rose, but based off our position, we don't need Derrick Rose. We still have a point guard in Kemba Walker, a nice, good, serviceable point guard in Kemba Walker. Right? But also, it forces all these other guys to get into that rotation and to start seeing what they can do. Like we already put Alex Burke in that point guard position. We see what can happen there. Right? We've seen Emmanuel Quickly since last year. Now it's time. We're starting to see a little bit more of Quentin Grimes. Deuce McBride, he was still trying to clear COVID protocol. But in this game against Detroit that just passed today, we saw some Deuce McBride. We saw some flashes of Deuce. Yes, folks, they were chucking up the deuces. So we're gonna start seeing this come about. Now, let me tell you guys a story, right? Before we move into before we take our next commercial break, or we take our first break, right? First promo break. I don't want to call it a commercial break, right? Let's go on to El Chapo. We see a couple of people popping into the podcast. I didn't even say El Chapo. I think I said El Carpe. I gotta tell you guys a story. Hey, yo, DJ MyT, do me a favor. Cut the beat. So, as you guys may or may not know right now, right? To make money outside of the podcast, I do deliveries with Amazon, right? I don't work their vans anymore, right? I tried that. That shit was fugazi. Right? And also, it's a whole lot more tiring than what I'm doing now, even though I work more now. I work more days and it feels like I put in way more hours, but it's still way more tiring to work in the vans. And it's not as flexible as we need to make sure that we can give you guys a podcast 3 times a week. That's part of the reason why I couldn't do it. Right? And I really needed to find an alternative method because I needed to pod. I really did it. And I couldn't go back to only podding once a week. I really couldn't. I really couldn't. Like, those days are done. Like, those were basically the first 5 years of the podcast. That was once a week. You could never go back once again. It's basically, like, you know, like in life, you upgrade in certain levels in life. And when you do those upgrades to yourself in life, you can never really fully go backwards, right? Whether that's an upgrade in life or upgrade in your life partner, right? Like, you understand, like, once you've gotten certain things, but like, you know what? I can't go backwards now. Like, you know what? I am going to expect the Carousel 7000 now from everybody. Bing bong. Maybe tomorrow, kiddo. Maybe wake up tomorrow. Hopefully I remember. I'll wake up from my napping time. So I'm out here doing my deliveries, right? It's butt fuck early in the morning, right? You know, you need the flashlight to be able to see around. And I get into a multiplex area, right? There's a walkway. There's a triplex on one side. There's another triplex on the other side. You know, 3 places. I get into the yard, right? Click the la la la. I start walking. I take like about 3-4 steps, right? Maybe 5. And I heard a noise, right? I thought I heard a voice. That's what it was. And I look up. I'm like, did I just hear something? And I look. And all of a sudden, I see a pit bull trolloping at me. You know, so you see the jaws moving and shit. In stride, full stride. And I was like, wait, is that a... Oh, shit! Put on the brakes. I turned around. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, we have to unlock this gate and get out and lock it before this dog gets to us. And at that moment, I was like, there's no way you're unlocking this gate and getting on the outside before this dog gets to you. If this dog ain't friendly, that's your ass, Mr. Postman. So, what ends up happening, in one fell swoop, I end up clearing the fence without touching it. And can I tell you, like, when I was done, obviously the person that belonged to the dog, she asked me if I was okay. You know, thought I was okay. And I already gave my composure real good. I had to ask her, like, sorry, I'm here with Amazon. Can you please secure your dogs? So she secures her dogs, and I come back in, and I start laughing about it. And I'm like, you know what? That was an incident where I gave 110%. That was an occasion where I gave 110%. Because I'm telling you right now, the maneuver that I pulled to get over that fence, a 3-foot fence, right? Yeah, easily a fence as tall as this desk, right? That's in front of me right here. Probably a little bit taller, all right? Up to my belly button at least. But the maneuver I did to get over this fence, I did not know I still had in my repertoire. I'm talking about, we're talking about hopping the fence like you're running from the cops in New York. We're talking about hopping the fence like you were hopping obstacles in the military in an obstacle course, right? Like we're talking about like that kind of fence hopping. Like I cleared that fence, and I was like, yo. Not only am I surprised that I did that and I still had it in me, I was surprised I didn't pull anything. Like nothing is sore. We could see what tomorrow feels. But I already took a nap today. I woke up. I didn't feel anything. Like I didn't have to stretch. I'm over here. I was thinking like, yo, I'm gonna have to loosen up the groin later. None of that. None of it. Like everything's still intact. Like your boy's good. But talk about giving 110%. What's going on, Joanna? Oh man. But I ain't gonna lie. A part of my life flashed a little bit. I was really thinking like, oh man, this is gonna be my Friday moment. This is so gonna be my Friday moment. This dog is gonna have a whole chunk of my asshole. Like we're gonna have flowers sitting on this curb talking about in memory of Talon's ass. Like it was just gonna be missing. But thank God I was raised in the hood. I ain't gonna lie. Whew. Thank God for being raised in the hood in the 80s. Cause I'm telling you, like I had to call upon every survival instinct that I've ever had in fence clearing, and I drew it back up to my ancestral Brooklyn Knights days, and whew, I took off. And then we had to laugh about it, because then we could laugh about it once I was safe. Oh man, I didn't think I had it in me. I didn't think I had that 110% in me. But folks, you know what? If you don't think that you have it in you anymore, we have a way to get you guys back up to 110%. Yes, folks? You can give 110% too with Blue Chew, folks. What is Blue Chew? Blue Chew happens to be a little blue pill that can give you back your thrill. All you gotta do is open up a pack and then head to the sack. Just a few chews before you do. See this little thing here? I ain't no scientist, but I know one thing. It has the same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis. That's all I need to know that this is one opportunity that you just can't miss. She's gonna love how you knock it out like a champ. Anyone, Tyson, Jordan, Jackson, action. She's gonna love how you come through like a champ when you Blue Chew in advance. And if you use this week's promo code of XYCH, that's X-Ray Yankee Charlie Hotel, you can get your first order of Blue Chew for free on me. Yes, that's a free order of Blue Chew from the folks here on MyT. Now I know what you're saying, fellas. I don't need that shit. I don't need it. I'm good here. I'm good. We get it. But you know what? Every once in a while, you ain't always good. Every once in a while, you talk up a big game, and next thing you know, you go striking out 0 for 3 in the first round. In the first inning. Nah, we trying to knock it out the park every single time, fellas. Don't talk about it. Chew it, and then be about it. And ladies, listen. Don't be shy. You can order this too. And you slip it right in his drink if you have to. You know, he out there talking all that talk, that rah-rahness. Oh, girl, when I see you, them legs gonna be spaghetti. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna braid your hair. You know, I'm gonna clog your glasses. You know, like whatever they be talking that mess. It's okay. Make sure it's a guaranteed. And you can get your guaranteed seal of approval by slipping a little bit of Blue Chew right in his drink. Next you know, he get that Popeye effect. Bing bong! Your bell will be wrong. All you gotta do is pay for shipping and handling. You get the order for free on me, but you gotta pay for shipping and handling. Make sure you take care of the people at your postal service. Blue Chew. Blue Chew. There's only 2 requirements. You chew it, and then you do it. Alrighty, folks. Now that we got the good folks at Blue Chew out the way, and folks, as you guys know, that the phone lines that we have here is brought to you by the good folks at Blue Chew. Yes, folks, we have the Blue Chew Get In Hotline. So when you're ready to join the podcast, folks, make sure you download the Podbean app. That's the only way to call into the podcast. I got a second line in the working. Like, we'll see how I feel about that if I want to open up a whole second line to you guys. I don't know. I don't know if I love you guys like that. You know, because you don't love me like you used to. You don't love me like you used to. You don't love me like you used to. Right? So we'll have to see about that. We'll have to see about that. Now, let's get into some real world shit, right? Because even though this is a sports show, I always tell people that this is a life show that is just presented by a sports fanatic. Like that's really, this is a life show. We just happen to talk sports all the time, and it, that's what happens here. So as you know, not just the sports world, but all of us is being affected by COVID, right? And right now they have the new COVID variant of Megatron or whatever it is, Omnicorn or Optimus, some shit like that, right? And I don't want to misspeak, but I feel that I am very comfortably saying that from all of the folks in Florida to everywhere else, we don't give a fuck. Florida hasn't cared in a while. They stopped caring a long time ago. You already heard the Florida. You already heard the Florida officials. Like, we're not changing. We're not adding any new protocols. We ain't gonna be adding any new homes or anything. Like, we good. We good down here. It's 86 degrees. It's 3 days away from New Year's. It's 86 degrees. We good. Now, it's actually funny, right? Because the first individual that really, right, or the first sports entity that really put out the first wave in its combat against current COVID was one Vince McMahon. And it's crazy because anytime I see Vince McMahon's name trending, I'm usually trying to figure out, right, you're trying to figure out, like, who did he fire today, right? Or is he still alive? He's up there and he has some health issues, right? Or what league is he trying to create or buy now, right? The fact that they haven't let Vince McMahon own a football team is ridiculous by now. Like, seriously. Seriously. So, WWE fired the first bullet against COVID, right? And said, you know what? WWE superstars, we ain't no longer testing for COVID. And I was like, wait, hold up, wait a minute, and let me put some think up in it. Say it again. WWE said they're not going to test for COVID. You know what? Get some Q-tips, right? The ones that you clean your ear out with, and also the artists, right? Because now I'm like, you know what? I have to put on my conscious hat. Again, hold up, wait a minute, but now, this time, let me put some kush up in it. Because now I gotta think real deep about this. Vince McMahon, billionaire, billion-dollar company, billion-dollar sponsors. He has athletes that sign contracts as big as LeBron James, Stephen Curry, Patrick Mahomes, some of the biggest stars in football and basketball. You have wrestlers that share similar contracts, but they don't got to pay for. We'll leave that out. Pay for flight, hotel, things of that nature, right? That's already built into the NBA structure for the team. That's not built that way for WWE. So when you get that into your contract, I mean that's kind of a big deal, especially for a franchise that's on the road 340 days out of the year. 330, I think it is actually. So I start to think now, right? Vince McMahon, billionaire, billion dollar owner, billion dollar company, billion dollar sponsors. No longer testing for COVID. We also know that Vince McMahon was very recently on the board of governors when Trump was in office, right? Like he had a spot, he had an ear directly linked to the White House. So that makes me think, like, is Vince McMahon still in the know? Well, he is a billionaire. He is with other billionaires that do billionaire shit, that get information earlier because they can throw their billions around to get billion ears. Right? Yes, folks. You'll catch that one later. That's another play on word. Billionaire for billion ears. Alright, so it makes me wonder, does he know something that we do not know? But like I said, he fired the first shot. He dropped the first domino, in a sense. Because after that news came out about him no longer tested, now we start to hear the whispers from the other leagues, right? Because you know what they always say, right? This is a copycat league. Well, it's not just a copycat league, they're copycat leagues. And what did football and basketball start to do? They started saying, well, you know what? We're going to start loosening our COVID restrictions. And now individuals that are no longer vaccinated, they no longer have to wait 2 weeks. They can now wait 7 days. If you are vaccinated, you no longer have to wait this amount of days. Like, everything has been cut down. But yet, we have the new Megatron variant sweeping through the nation. No, not roofies, Nick. Blue Chew. Blue Chew. Blue Chew. I mean, I guess it's male roofies, but you still have consciousness. Like, you gonna remember what happened? But the other person may not remember what happened. But that's from delirium. Because, you know, Blue Chew's gonna make you do that thing. You know, which makes that head spin. Again and again and again. Lionel Richie style. All night long. Okay, so back to WWE. Back to COVID. So we see the other leagues starting to loosen up their restrictions as well. And now you're no longer being required. Now granted, it's not just because of it. It could also be said that some of them are trying to save their seasons, right? Football is coming into their playoffs. They're looking at it like, we're already ravished now. We're already depleted now. We need to start getting bodies back. And we can't have bodies missing all this time. You know what? Let's lower this. So now when we get into the playoffs, hopefully now we have bodies. We have the bodies that people want to see in the playoffs. Because we already know they ain't gonna stop the playoffs for these illnesses. They're just gonna fight. They're just gonna add in some fillers and continue on. We've heard college football playoffs. They've already mentioned that you can lose your college football game, your college football playoff game, by not having players there. You can lose the college football championship game by not having players there. Now, they did say that if COVID is the reason that they have that they can't play on January 1st, they will push it back for 2 weeks. And if you can't fill the team in 2 weeks, then your team forfeits. So college football playoffs, we don't know what college football does. You know, they do their own thing. But all the other leagues, the major leagues, you see them lowering their standards. Right? Which, I don't know if I've said this here on the podcast before, because I talk to so many people. Sometimes, you know, you regurgitate a point to so many people so many times, and you don't know when and where you say it. But I'm gonna say it again here. If I have said it before, I'm gonna say it again. This new Optimus Tron, right, Omnicron version of COVID. While I hear that this is the most contagious version of COVID that is going out right now, I'm also hearing that this is the least deadly of the variants. That the symptoms for this one is really headache, achy body, runny nose, sneezing, coughing. No collapsed lung, no nanovirus. You understand? No, like none of that shit. Like no matrix in your system, none of that. Just what sounds like is flu-like symptoms, purely. Which, am I mistaken by thinking that? Oh, am I remembering that? By remembering the fact that this is where we always wanted to get to from the beginning. That we wanted to move from a point where it was life-threatening to just inconvenient. Where it was more like a flu or a common cold than a deadly ear taker. Like, isn't this where we wanted to get to? So, as I'm also seeing these leagues starting to loosen up, I'm starting to wonder, are they starting to realize some of their own truths? Because I've been feeling this way for a while that we ain't been functioning from the smartest standpoint for COVID. Whether you got vaccinated or not, like once we got to about 50% vaccinations, why was anybody vaccinated scared of anybody unvaccinated? That never made any sense to me. Like, your unvaccinated self can't give me a more deadlier version of this that I don't have an antibody for by now, so what the problem is? And it seems like the variants are getting less and less and less and less and less deadly, which is what we wanted. Because the less deadly it is, the more normal we were supposed to be able to get back to. Because regardless if you're vaccinated or not, you're still gonna spread it. So now if you're unvaccinated, you have the choice. You're not spreading a dip. Like, yeah, I never understood. I still understand what's going on right now, but I do understand that WWE has flat out said we're no longer testing at all. Not we're lessening our protocols, or we're switching how long that you have to be out to lower the time. Like, no, WWE flat out said we're no longer testing for COVID. They basically did what the NBA did with weed. We're no longer testing. So, I'm just going to put this out there. Folks, we may be in the Robitussin phase of COVID. But all you may need is some tussin and a good night's sleep. I'm just saying. You guys stay safe out there. Do whatever you need to do for your peace of mind, for you to feel safe. That's really what it is, right? Whatever you need to do for your peace of mind so that you can feel safe. Just continue to do that. Alright? As we move on, let's get back into something a little bit more sportsy, right? So something that's a little bit more relevant in the sports world.
Hey ladies!
Where the ladies at?
Hey ladies! You know what that means, folks. It is that time in the podcast where we get a chance to big up the ladies in the house. And there's definitely one lady in the house doing big things, folks. The award for Female Athlete of the Year has just been announced. And folks, that award is going to none other than your current NBA champion. Just won a championship. What are you doing? What you got over there, kiddo? What is that? Is that Princess Leia from Star Wars?
This is my first job. And then this is my second job.
Oh, I was looking at the little puffs on the side. That looked like the chick from Star Wars. But, so, it is given, Female Athlete of the Year is given to one Candace Parker. And folks, if you've listened to if you've been a fan of the show, like a fan of the podcast, then you've heard us talk about Candace Parker in the past, right? Like I said, Candace Parker, she just recently won a championship with the Chicago Sky. Yeah, after she made her return home after playing with the Lakers for God knows how long, right? Winning a championship with the Lakers, winning Player of the Year with the Lakers as well, Rookie of the Year. Ridiculous amount of athletes. Then she would go to Chicago. The first year in Chicago, she would help them win a championship. First championship in Chicago history, if I'm not mistaken. She's a gold medal winner. First overall pick of the WNBA draft. 6'4" center. There's a 2-time champion, Finals MVP, WNBA MVP, 6-time All-Star, Defensive Player of the Year, All-Star Game MVP, Rookie of the Year, All-Rookie Team, WNBA First Team, 6 times, 3-time All-WNBA Second Team, 2-time WNBA Defensive Second Team, 3-time WNBA Rebounding Leader, 3-time WNBA Peak Performer. She was on the WNBA 20th Anniversary Team and the 25th Anniversary Team. 5-time Russian National League Champion. 4-time Russian Cup winner. Euro League Champion. 2-time NCAA Champion. 2-time Gatorade National Player of the Year. 2-time AP Female Athlete of the Year. That's what she just got a while ago. Second time now. That's Candace Parker, folks. Naismith College Player of the Year. 2-time Wooden Award winner. Wade Trophy winner. Honda Sports Award for basketball. And now we can add another Female Athlete of the Year award. One in 2008 when she got drafted. So basically, she won it the year she got drafted. And then now, the year that she, basically the Rookie of the Year, all that other shit, made it to a WNBA championship that year, all that kinds of shit, And then now the year that she wins it. Talk about a bookend of a career. Like, she could retire now and it'll be the perfect Cinderella story. No pun intended. So we definitely want to take the time out and give a big shout out and give a big to one Candace Parker, as she continues to do legendary things in the WNBA. And as we talk about one individual doing legendary things, we told you that we had some LBJ news for you guys, folks. And the L was for later, and that later is now, folks. As we go from the Female Athlete of the Year, we go to who was probably, I think, if I'm not mistaken, the Male Athlete of the Year last decade. And that is one LeBron James. One LeBron James who in his most recent game, folks, managed to go over 36,000 total points, folks. Bringing him just that much closer to the all-time record of 38,383. I think that's the all-time score rate. So he's just about 2,000 away. Listen, let me get the number. 38,387. And LeBron James just recently passed 36,000, making him one of 3 players to score over 36,000 points. It's him, Karl Malone, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And folks, just like how there are a couple players, right? LeBron James isn't quite that one yet. At least not in the regular season. When he makes it into the playoffs, he's this player. But there are a couple players that are this player. That they're in the point of their career that every game they play, they are making and setting history. Not trying to catch history, making history. Literally. With every game they play. Damn near. LeBron James is really damn near close. You understand that He's about to be on that watch. Now that he's at 36,000 points, he's about to be on that watch. We're talking about 2,300 more points. Do the math, right? Let's keep it at 2,387. Listen to this, folks. Okay, Google. What is 2,387 divided by 82? Turn it up.
29.11.
29.11. What is that number, you ask? That is how many points per game LeBron James needs to average next year to break that record. Or in 82 games, one full season. We're halfway through this season. Pay attention to me now. We're halfway through this season. And he only needs 2,300 more points. 2,300? Did I lie to myself? Yeah, no, 2,300. He needs 2,300 more points. You understand, by the time this season is over, we may be talking about LeBron James needing under 2,000 points. He's averaging, what is LeBron James averaging right now? Points per game. Let's see. LeBron James points per game this season. LBJ, let's see. They can give me his total points, but I don't want his total points. I need his points per game right now. But if I'm not mistaken, he may be averaging like 25 points per game right now, right? So with about 40 games left, you're talking about, what is that? Another, is that 200 points? No, I'm tripping. Is that about another 200? 5, 2, 8. That's another 1,000 points. 100 points. What? Nah. Hold up. This math ain't adding up right now. This math ain't adding up right now. Give me a second. Let's get this figured out. Right? He's having just about 20. No, I am right. 25 points per game. That's about 100 points every 4 games. So we're talking. Nah, there is no way. I'm sorry. The numbers in my head, but I just refuse to believe what I'm hearing in my head. So, pardon me. So, like I said, there's about 40 games. There's about 40 games left right now, right? Yeah, actually, I was right. That's about another 1,000 points he can add on to there right now. Damn. You realize that LeBron James is 2,300 points away. He can add another 1,000 this season. Which means that by next year, I said under 2,000. Next year, he's going to be on watch. Just like how, at one point in time, we were on watch with Russell Westbrook. And the reason I bring up Russell Westbrook because that's his teammate. And LeBron James, and LeBron James recently had to put up a triple-double to beat Detroit or some bum-ass team. Houston. That's who it was. It required a triple-double from LeBron James and Russell Westbrook to beat Houston. But what that did is that obviously LeBron James now, he moves into, he's still in the top 5 in triple-doubles behind Jason Kidd, Magic, Big O, and his teammate Russell Westbrook, who leads all individuals in triple-doubles with 191. 10 above Big O, who has 181. Don't know how much LeBron James has because he's in 5th right now. His numbers don't matter. So, LeBron James gets here, right? And we talk about Russ already, right? Russ, every game that he plays, let me talk about there's a couple people in the league, like every game they play, they are literally making history. Well, Russell Westbrook is one of them. Every game that he plays, every triple-double he puts up, he is making history. He is living in history. We are watching history in the making. Literally. That's going to be LeBron James next year. You see the buzz that Stephen Curry got this year? Stephen Curry, he's the other one. Every three-pointer he makes, we are literally watching history in the making. So you realize that once next year hits, right? And when you go back 5 years, within a 5-year time span in the NBA, we would have seen the all-time triple-double leader get broken and set, the all-time three-point leader get broken and set, and the all-time scoring leader get broken and set. Stephen Curry, LeBron James, Russell Westbrook. Those guys right now are living legends. I told you we're going to watch some LBJ later and the L is for later. No, folks, that L is for legendary. LeBron James is walking into legendary status. Now he's down. Now we're talking about next year during the regular season, because we already know when LeBron James steps into the playoffs, he's a walking legend already. Most games, most points, most assists, most rebounds, most losses, all of that, right? He does the most in the playoffs. Like he is the Beetlejuice of the playoffs. He's the host with the most, for those that understand. So I know there's not a lot that I applaud or even appreciate LeBron James for, right? I can still say the biggest thing that I've ever awed at about LeBron James is his body fat percentage. From the moment he has stepped into the league, that under 2% body fat percentage thing still wows me to this day, because that is Olympic level bodybuilder status, people. Understand me when I say this. Under 2% body fat, I don't care what stage of your life you in, that is Olympic level bodybuilder status. That is, let me back up a little bit. Because I don't think you understand. That is, I show off my muscles for competition status. Those guys that look all veiny and bodies all dehydrated because they want their muscles to pop and those veins to protrude, that's the kind of body fat that those guys have. And that has been LeBron James for his whole 18-year career. Still the number one thing I'll ever all over. The next thing is going to be him still being able to have this longevity to be able to be the all-time scoring leader. Because we have had many greats come through here that we thought may do it. We have had greats that even most of us to this day put on a higher pedestal and a higher platform, a higher pedestal, I guess to say, than LeBron James. And yet they still haven't done it. He's about to go in and do it. The funny thing about it, though, within 5 years, Kevin Durant is going to break that and make him look like nothing, and it's make it look like a passing of the time. Something that just kind of happens now because scoring has gone up so much. I'm not going to lie to you. Watch. It will happen. Kevin Durant will surpass him. And it's going to make what LeBron James did just kind of look like, yeah, this is kind of what happens now. Which is going to be kind of shitty because it's going to slightly take away from what Kevin Durant does. But it's going to be a feat to see. His feat is going to be much better than LeBron James because he would have had to now set a whole new record that surpasses 40,000 points. See, the crazy thing with Stephen Curry and maybe even Russell Westbrook, their records are going to stand for a while. I know I'm not the only one that feels this way. Like LeBron James's record is going to, if LeBron James becomes the all-time scoring leader, his record is going to be surpassed within 5 years. I don't see anybody touching Stephen Curry or Russell Westbrook's record for a good 2 decades. Easy. Like, you understand, when Stephen Curry's record or Russell Westbrook's records gets broken, I expect that I'm going to be talking like this. And I'll be telling you, I remember when these guys broke the record. It was the greatest thing I ever seen. Russell Westbrook, every other game, it was a triple-double machine, grabbing boards, stationer. He got a lot of slack. I mean, there was days where he went 4 for 11, and he was the only person they talk shit about. But in the same days, Chris Paul and all these other guys had bad games too. But none of them put up his numbers. He got his numbers. Stephen Curry, sweetest shot I ever seen in my life. Shot so bright it could take out the sun. Like I expect I'm gonna be talking like that by the time their records get broken. Like I'm gonna be calling into a radio station. Like, I've been a Knicks fan since 1822, and this is the most ridiculous thing that I've ever seen. For them to allow this fugazi bum break this record on their home court, because you know it's gonna happen on their home court again. Excuse me. Can't hold that voice for long. Shit. I'm gonna be coughing my ass off when I'm older. Every time I talk for more than 2 minutes. That's me coughing, by the way. So big up to LeBron James, right? As he continues to try to work his way up into the record books and keep finding ways to help solidify his greatness. Which I'm gonna say the worst thing I could probably ever say about his greatness and making sure that it stays where it stays at. In a weird way, right? And I think I may have loosely said that. I may have said this again on the podcast earlier this week or earlier this month. Kobe Bryant's death, right? Just like Biggie's and Tupac's and stuff like that, but like kind of the same theory that people say about DMX. If DMX would have died after his third album, he'll be one of the greatest rappers that ever lived. He would have been talked about up there with some of the greatest. Well, Kobe was one of the greatest, and his passing may have helped solidify his spot where you can't just surpass him anymore. Like, he's too iconic now. Like, you understand? Like, you know they say like dead rappers get better promotions. This is kind of that same thing. Like a dead basketball player is going to get the benefit of the doubt. Like if LeBron James would have done what he has done, right? Which I keep telling people. He's going to end up being number 1 in scoring. He's going to end up being top 5, if not top 3, all time in assists. And if he would have done that while Kobe was still living, you'd have been hard pressed to not say that he was better than Kobe. Once it was all said and done. I wouldn't have said that. But it would have been hard pressed. Like if somebody would have told me, like, let me put it this way. If somebody would have said it to me after he accumulates all that stuff and Kobe is still living, I don't know if I'm arguing with them. Only thing I can say at that point in time, you know what? That's your point of view. You're entitled to that. Like, it's pretty damn close. Well, if Kobe passes, he can never pass Kobe now. He already couldn't pass Jordan. Now he can't pass Kobe. And let me tell you why he can't pass Jordan. I heard somebody in there broke this down so that it can officially and forever be broke. Right? He said, you go over to your friend's house, right? And as you know, like, if you guys can see my whole entire ambiance, right? You can understand that I'm substituting a couple of words here. But if you go over to your friend's house, right? Hey, TT, your dad is saying hi to you. That's what we was saying hi. That's what was wondering who. If you watch on YouTube, you could talk to him.
He's been texting me.
Ah. So, if you, what am I about to say? Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, crap.
Why he can never pass you.
Ah. Thank you, kiddo. So, he can never pass Kobe, right? Now, like I said, if any individual would have came to me and said that to me while Kobe was still living, I can't argue with them. I'm gonna let them have their opinion, and that's their point of view. Like, it's not my point of view, but I'm not gonna argue with him. He would have made a very strong case. But now, sorry, like, he has solidified himself there. And it's gonna take somebody else that's gonna have to inspire a whole generation to get there to maximize their essence, to become great. For also do what Kobe did. For anybody to even ever for anybody to get past that Kobe spot. Like LeBron James, even what he does is gonna be right behind. It's gonna be right underneath Kobe, and he'll never surpass Mike. And now we're back to where we started. He'll never surpass Mike, regardless of what he does. And somebody broke this down for me, right? And said that you go over to your friend's house, right? And they bake cookies every time that you go there. And the 6 times that you go there, you get the cookies every single time, right? Every single time you got the cookies. Now you flip it to the other one. 6 times you go there, you get the cookies 6 times. Now, flip the other side. Your friend makes cookies, right? You go over there 10 times, you only get cookies 4 times. Who did better? How much, Kim? You go over your friend's house, right? And they bake cookies, right? You go over there 6 times. You go over one friend's house, you go over there 6 times, you get cookies 6 times. You have another friend, right? Now this is you have another friend that has a friend that made cookies 10 times. And they went to that person's house 10 times and only got cookie 4 times. Who did better?
6 times.
There we go, and that's why Jordan is better than LeBron James.
The more the merrier.
There we go. See? It even makes sense to a 10-year-old. And that's how somebody broke it. Okay, so let's see. All right. Let's give you the adult version now that the kids are out the room. Alright. So what I heard them say was that, I think you guys already got the gist of it, but I'm sorry, I have to sully it up now. Right? You go over your friend's house, male or female, whatever it is, right? You go over your friend's house, right? 6 times, you smash 6 times. Bam. Go to this other chick's house, right? The other scenario, you go over this chick's house 4 times, or 10 times, only smash 4. Now, granted, the goal is to smash all times, obviously, right? Who is the goat in the scenario? The person that's batting the honey for honey, or the person that wasted their time 6 times? Like, all she did 6 times, bro, was drink your Henny and smoke your weed. Like, all he did, sis, was drink your Henny and smoke your weed. At least 6 of them times wasted your time. Just saying. This is how I heard this broken down. And when that officially got there, I was like, yeah, there's no more debate. There's no more debate whatsoever. Like, I don't even understand it. So let's move on from the male athlete of the past decade. I don't think he's gonna get it this day. I don't even know who's gonna be in the running for this decade, because the conventional athletes, right, that we're thinking of, that we've been used to seeing dominant, the Stephen Currys, the Kevin Durants, the LeBron James, the Tom Brady's, even Patrick Mahomes. Is Patrick Mahomes gonna be that guy for this next decade? To get male athlete of the decade? It's crazy. This is year 1, and for some reason, I am already thinking of male athlete for this decade. Who's the early front runner? Giannis? Maybe Giannis. Tiger Woods' son? Like, who's the front runner? I'm gonna let y'all sit on that one. Because honestly, it is way too early to be thinking about the male athlete of the decade. For this decade. What's going on, coach? But we gonna play around with it. We gonna play around with it for the next 9 years. We gonna play around with the male athlete of this decade. Right? Okay. Let's switch gears. Right? As we're coming up to the latter portions of the show, let's switch gears. Right? And it is something that I like to do that's a little near and dear. As you guys know, the Mighty Sports Podcast is the unofficial podcast of Rock Nation Sports. So let's go ahead and get ourselves a little Rock Nation Sports action. Folks, with a little Rock Nation note, it's not going to take long. Let's let you know. Like, what are you showing us now? Oh, are you showing the updates every time that you get to a different point? Is that what you're doing?
No.
Is that Daria?
Who's that?
Daria.
Who's that?
They used to call her Diarrhea
Who's that?
from the Beavis and Butthead show, and then she got her own spin-off. Diarrhea.
I don't know what she's talking about.
Diarrhea. You don't know what I'm talking. You've never seen Daria? Okay, I guess that's something else that we're gonna have to watch. Kiddo, what did they be showing you? Alright, let's get into our Rock Nation sports report of the week. Folks, and we don't got a lot to report on. We don't have a lot to report on, folks. It's been a very quiet week for the Rock Nation athletes, but we do have a couple of notables to go ahead and mention, folks. First that we have out here is Tampa Bay's Leonard Fournette, folks. What did he do? He did nothing at all. But what he did do was help lead his team to an NFC title, folks. Yes, folks, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the official champions of the NFC South, being led by the running back Leonard Fournette from Rock Nation Sports, folks. Also, folks, another little notable. I told you in the birthday celebration that we was gonna come here for this, folks, and we are at this point. We also have a happy birthday shout out, folks. Yes, it's your birthday. We said it's your birthday. We sing happy birthday because it's your birthday. To one Detroit Lions own Julian Okwara. And folks, our last note mentionable in our Rock Nation Sports segment of the week goes out to Toronto Raptors own Chris Butcher, as he gets a season high 28 points and a career high 19 rebounds, folks. Yes, just one more than New York's own Mitchell Robinson. Unfortunately, and double the points at that too. Unfortunately, it did not lead to a W, folks. His 28 points and his season high 28 points and career high 19 rebounds will not help his team beat the Philadelphia 76ers, as they would lose 114 to 109. But you know what, though? This is a division rival. We'll let them slide. Actually, we don't care, to be honest with you. Like, sorry, SB. Right? Nothing personal. But they're a division rival. Toronto and Philly. I don't care what they do. Like Philly doesn't have Ben Simmons, and I'm glad they don't have Ben Simmons. Like, luckily for them is that they've gotten major production and a major step up, not only from Ben Simmons but also one from Tobias Harris. Did we talk about 2K earlier? We did mention talk about 2K earlier. So talking about 2K earlier, one Tobias Harris, that if you guys recall, that he went to go do an interview with 2K. When he found out what his 2K rating was, he walked out of that interview. They have that on film. That made it to one of their 2K episodes. And as we're talking about episodes, folks, as we are coming up on week 17 of the NFL, folks, we have Thursday night football coming up upon us in less than 24 hours, with the Philadelphia Eagles will be taking on the Washington Team Football. Yes, folks, that's WTF, the What the Football Team. Oh man, as we like to call them, the Washington whatchamacallits. Right, we have that game going on Thursday. This game has playoff implications, as the Philadelphia 76ers are trying to secure, Philadelphia Eagles are trying to secure themselves one of those final wild card spots in the NFL, folks. We have one more week of football after this week 17. So as most of you most of you right now may be coming into the end of your fantasy leagues. Some of you are right now in the finals. I wish you guys good luck. Chill, Will, Ron. I hope you one of those guys will be coming away with the championship belt for this league. As I said, I'm gonna need your guys' address because unfortunately I'm gonna have to mail it. I hate mailing shit too. You're making you guys pay for shipping and handling, just like Blue Chew. Like you gotta send me the cost for shipping and handling. I ain't shit. I'm sorry. I ain't shit. Oh man, I can't even help myself. I can't even help myself. So definitely, for everybody that's in fantasy,
The MyT Fantasy Football Tips. Not winning tips, just tips. Just the tip? Just the tip. Just the tip.
Let's just say what I want involves much more than just the tips. Just the tips. What I want is much more than just the tips.
so as you guys know, right? Still continue to. The biggest thing that you could probably do for your fantasy lineup as of right now is something that I always remember in the playoffs, right? Even from the time that I won. Don't get cute here, right? Stick with the people that got you here. Basically, when you get to the dance, stick with the chick that got you to the dance. Don't you go look for somebody else to dance with. That's disrespectful. Now, we do have an exception, and that's why we have to give out some fantasy football tips. Not the winning tips, but just tips, right? This is a tip drill. Right? But you have to pay attention to COVID. That's probably going to be your biggest obstacle still to date, is figuring out who, if anybody, is gonna be missing games due to COVID, and who's gonna be their replacement. Yes, like I said, the Philadelphia 76, as it currently stands right now, they are holding down the very last spot in the wild card position. Not only of them, and that's in the NFC. In the AFC, that job goes to the Miami Dolphins. So if you're a New Yorker, you hate both teams that are in the 7th spot. Whether you root for the Giants or you root for the Jets. You hate the Dolphins and you hate the Eagles. Now, as it currently looks right now in the playoffs, in the AFC, we're looking at the Chiefs, followed by the Titans, followed by the Bengals, the Bills, the Colts, the Patriots, and the Dolphins. With the Chargers, the Raiders, and the Ravens all on the bubble with the same record as the Miami Dolphins. And in the NFC, we have the Packers, followed by the Cowboys, Rams, and the Buccaneers, who all have the same record, right, sitting in that number 2, 3, and 4 spot. Then that's followed by the Cardinals at number 5, and then at 6 and 7 we have the 49ers, and then the Eagles. And then sitting at the bubble, folks, with a record of 7 and 8 are the Vikings, the Falcons, and the Saints as well. Now, now on top of this game, like I said, having playoff implications, because if you're the Philadelphia 76ers, and you're the Philadelphia Eagles, and you're trying to get this game out of the way so that you can go ahead and secure yourself a nice little W and continue to get a spot into the playoffs. And Jalen Hurts is basically going to be making a playoff appearance in what is considered his first full season in the NFL. Just saying, Jalen Hurts. I ain't gonna lie. I never would ever root for the Dolphins to be in the Super Bowl, but if the Dolphins make it to the Super Bowl for some odd reason, I want them to play the Philadelphia Eagles. I do. Nothing more to me will rather than say that I want a matchup between Tua got a tongue twister and Jalen Hurts, so that Jalen Hurts and those boys can go out and whoop that ass. But that's way too close to the Miami Dolphins actually winning the Super Bowl, so I don't even want them there. I'm taking that all back. Right, Philadelphia Eagles have a record of 8 and 7, and Washington Team Football has a record of 6 and 9 in tomorrow night's game. And I like that. And Washington Team Football, or whatchamacallits as we like to call them, they are going to try to be playing spoiler in what is a division rivalry game. Now, that's not the only game of the week, obviously, folks. As we also have here, we have what we like to call the Blue Chew Go Hard or Go Home Games of the Week. Ayo, DJ, MyT. Play that sound for me. Folks, we have 4 games to watch as our Blue Chew Go Hard or Go Home Games of the Week. And the last one is an honorable mention. I will tell you why when we get there. Folks, the first of the games on our Blue Chew Go Hard or Go Home Games of the Week deals with one LA Rams and the Baltimore Ravens. As we mentioned, folks, not only are these two teams that have high-powered offenses, these are 2 teams that have playoff aspirations. The LA Rams currently have a record of 11-4, sitting in the 3rd place in the division, and they are in the conference, and they are trying to see if they can move their way up into that 2nd spot and see if they can possibly get themselves a first-week bye. Is that still how it works, or is the first 2 teams get a first-week bye, or is it only the number 1 seed? But try to get that first-week bye, period, because they're still within striking distance of the Green Bay Packers, who have clinched the playoffs. They just haven't clinched that number 1 spot fully. Now the LA Rams will be playing the Baltimore Ravens, and the Baltimore Ravens are looking like they will not make the playoffs this year based off their current position. But a lot of that, folks, is due to COVID and the fact that Lamar Jackson has not been able to play all of these games due to COVID protocols. Now, part of this may also fall on him, because one thing that even though we don't understand a lot of the things that are going on with COVID, one thing that we will not have is sympathy for those that are unvaccinated that happen to miss more games than people that are vaccinated. You knew the stipulations to be able to get on that field sooner, and you know what kind of sacrifices that you would like to make now that you have made it. Because I'm telling you something about sacrifice. These guys make a lot of sacrifices to make it. But once they make it, they don't want to sacrifice shit. Pay attention to it. Sacrifice really ain't in the contract. Them dollars are though. So we'll be keeping out for that LA Rams games, right? Seeing if LA Rams could go ahead and take care of business and beat the Baltimore Ravens. We told you that normally we don't bet against the Baltimore Ravens, but that's only when Lamar Jackson is playing. We don't bet against Lamar Jackson. I'm just possibly not going to be in Lamar Jackson in this game, so we will not be picking Baltimore. The LA Rams should go ahead and advance. And then after that, the ball is going to be in the court of teams like the Dallas Cowboys, who are going to be playing the Arizona Cardinals, who also falls into our other Blue Chew Go Hard game of the week. The Green Bay Packers are not going to have that difficult of a game this week as they look to take on the Minnesota Vikings. The only thing about the Minnesota Vikings that they happen to be, what's going on, Rage? Minnesota Vikings happens to be a division opponent. And you know how we feel about division opponents, especially when that division opponent happens to be that unruly cousin that always fucks up the barbecue. It won't Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins can't be trusted to keep things on script. So while Green Bay may have a cakewalk of a game, tell that to the Minnesota Vikings and Kirk Cousins. Dalvin Cook is going to be somebody to keep an eye on in this game as well. His injury status is something to keep an eye on because if he's in this game, and he's probably going to be a factor. He's probably going to and if they are going to win it, they're going to need one of those big games from him. And the Packers are the Packers. You ain't hear Aaron Rodgers say to Minnesota that he owns them like he owns Chicago. He's a little bit more respectful when it comes to Minnesota. But the Dallas and Arizona game is all about respect, right? The Arizona Cardinals currently sitting with a record of 10-5. Dallas Cowboys with a record of 11-4, right? If Arizona wins this game, which who I'm going to be rooting for, they're going to be tied right there with the Dallas Cowboys, which also is going to have an implication now on the rest of the league because we're talking about the Buccaneers, we're talking about the Dallas Cowboys, we're talking about the LA Rams. Everybody is really close-knit. Even the Green Bay Packers. You understand, if we're talking about the Green Bay Packers losing the game and falling out to 12-4, that it's up to Dallas, the Rams, and Tampa Bay to go ahead and take that spot from them, because it will be up for the taking. But same thing's going to be for Arizona. Your next opponent is right there for the taking. Tampa Bay is going to have a cakewalk. They're going up against the Jets. You don't have to worry about them. Tampa Bay is winning their next game. So unless these teams want to see Tampa Bay and Tom Brady with another first week bye, Cowboys, Rams, Green Bay, take care of business. But Cowboys, we're not going to expect you to take care of business. We expect you to do what you always do around this time of the year and let Arizona win. Now, luckily for you Cowboys, even if an Arizona Cardinals win, and even with a Philadelphia Eagles win, you have nothing to worry about. You can lose your next 2 games and the Philadelphia Eagles won't catch you. Actually, if I'm looking at this correctly, you can lose your next 2 games and not worry about being out of the playoffs. Actually, it looks like the Packers, the Cowboys, the Rams, and the Bucks may have all clinched the playoffs. I don't see any team that can possibly catch them even if they lost all of their games. The only team that could surpass the Cowboys, the Rams, and the Bucks is the Arizona Cardinals. The only team that could pass the Packers, obviously, like I said, are the Cowboys, or the Rams, and the Bucks. The Cardinals are still on the fence. They still need to worry about being eliminated slightly, depending on what happens with the San Francisco 49ers. But even then, they just may get to the bubble. Things are going to get interesting. Things are going to be looking real interesting as the NFC starts to finish shaping up. But the number 1 game from the NFC that I will be watching is going to be Arizona and Dallas, folks. Probably the biggest game of my Blue Chew Go Hard or Go Home games of the week. The other game is going to be between Kansas City and Cincinnati. Cincinnati Bengals, folks, with a record is 9-6, sitting 3rd in the AFC. Kansas City Chiefs, they've already solidified their spot. They don't have to worry about too much. But they play each other, and this is going to be a good test for both teams. Kansas City Chiefs and the Cincinnati Bengals. Cincinnati Bengals, a litmus test to see where you stack up against Kansas City. Obviously, always a big deal. But both of these teams have had good momentum coming into this game. Cincinnati Bengals obviously need this victory a little bit more than the Kansas City Chiefs do. Like I said, the Kansas City Chiefs are really only worried about the Tennessee Titans. For the most part. Really only worried about the Tennessee Titans. In a very loose way, maybe the Bengals, maybe the Bills, maybe the Colts, maybe the Patriots. That's if they lose these next 2 games and these other teams win their next 2 games. And then we're talking about all kinds of tie-break scenarios. Like I said, that's only if the Chiefs lose their next 2 games. Then the Bengals, the Bills, and the Colts and the Patriots can possibly tie them. And then we're talking about tiebreaker. But the Tennessee Titans win their next 2 games and they just take over the next 2. They just take over the conference if the Chiefs can't hold on. Don't see that happening. It's gonna be interesting. Expect the Tennessee Titans to beat the Dolphins. I expect the Chiefs to beat the Bengals, but I'm not confident about either one of those. Like, I'm not confident about Arizona beating Dallas. I am confident about the Rams should be able to beat Baltimore. There's too much stuff going on with COVID, and then the momentum that a lot of these teams have, and everything that's on the line. As the season ends, this is when the things start to get real exciting as a sports fan, as a football fan, as a fan of these teams. This is when things start to get real juicy, real savory. Like, you're not quite full yet, but you're getting right into it. You're like, oh my God, this is the best thing I've ever had. Cookies, me like cookies, Cookie Monster. But it was one other game, right? One other game. This game doesn't really have any major playoff implications. It doesn't have any real consequences to it. What it has here is a whole lot of pride, a whole lot of guts, a whole lot of gumshoe, right? All of that stuff that makes somebody hardened and calloused. This is a lot of that. This is a rivalry game. The Cleveland Browns versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, and we know how games are conducted in that division specifically. Things aren't done lightly. These games are met with malice and violent intent. These are the games that you watch as a fan when your teams don't have any kind of playoffs and they just have bragging rights written all over them. These are the I own you son kind of games. I sunned you, B. Especially when it's this late. You've already seen each other once. Both of these teams have basically the same record. But what we're seeing here is a Pittsburgh Steelers team that is used to beating up on a Cleveland Browns team. And a Cleveland Browns team that is just now trying to get out of that shadow of Pinata, of little brother, of pincushion. They got a big win at the end of the season last year to make it into the playoffs. Now they're looking for another big win at the end of the season just for pride, for contention's sake. To say that, hey, my quarterback isn't washed here. Because this is a game also, not just between Cleveland and Pittsburgh, between division rivals. This is a game between Ben Roethlisberger and Baker Mayfield, or as I like to say, Ohio's pastry chef. Well, I took you off camera because you left. I could put you back up. Hold on, I got you, kiddo.
Oh.
She was over there waving her magic wand around or something. I thought she was doing. What did you say? This is how I sling them rocks. She's trying to show me a dance. She's like, this is how you sling them rocks. I'm like, what are they teaching you in school? Yeah, she was showing me a dance that they have about slinging rocks.
No.
You did. Show me how you sling them rocks. You did. You see, you gotta sling the rocks.
No.
You did. You do this, and then you sling rocks.
Yeah.
See, what's that? What's that? What's that? What's that part?
Rolling the dice.
Rolling, like I said, slinging rocks.
No.
That's another name for rolling dice, slinging rocks. And why are you rolling dice in Jingle Bell Rocks? Like, that's why, exactly, because you're slinging rocks, rolling the dice. So you learned something today.
No, I didn't.
That's like how you learned what guac means, and Skrilla, and dough, and cheddar, and dinero. What do you, yes, it's a pencil. It's a construction pencil. It's not supposed to look pretty. And it gets sharpened with a knife every single time. So Cleveland versus Pittsburgh. All right, this is the pastry chef Mayfield versus big old Ben Roethlisberger. Old Ben Roethlisberger, Uncle Ben Roethlisberger, whatever you want to call it. You're on camera. And on top of all of the added stuff put into this game that I just mentioned, right? All of those things that are going to be part of the storyline, all those bullets. The other part of this is that this may be Ben Roethlisberger's last game in Pittsburgh. And that's the other part of it. So on top of them not liking each other, this is already going to be a nasty game, a bloody game, a hard-fought game. Teams that know each other, you know what I mean? Big brother versus little brother, right? But this is also maybe the last game in Pittsburgh for Ben. So you know, on top of everything that I mentioned, everybody in Pittsburgh is going to be playing even harder to try to if this is Ben's last game, they're going to want to send Ben out on a good note. More intensity, more violence, more blood, more sweat, more tears, more fire. And in Cleveland, they're not trying to be sunned. They're trying to beat Big Brother. They're trying to show that, hey, we're not a fluke in this division, that we can go and chop it with the other big boys in this division that we have. Baltimore, Cincy, Pittsburgh, who's been sunning us this whole entire time. You want to show that, yo, we can exchange blows with them too and catch them with that haymaker and knock them out. And also, you know what they know as well? This may potentially be Ben Roethlisberger's last game here, and the last time that you face him. It's already being said. Somebody can't wait to intercept him. So now you got somebody from the other team talking smack. Now you got somebody from Cleveland talking smack to Pittsburgh. So now Pittsburgh, now that intensity that they have, more fire upon the field. And what is Cleveland over here doing? They getting themselves amped up. More fire, more violence, more blood, more sweat, more tears, more fire, more fire. That is the honorable mention. The sneaky good go the sneaky blue chew go hard or go home game of the week. Because that game doesn't have any real playoff implications. That game just has nothing but pride on the line. Nothing but pride. And I'm going to want to see that. Because that pride may get physical. Let's get physical. Let's get the physical. Now, let me go ahead and end the podcast on a nice little light note, right? Because as you guys know, I'm usually, right, or I'm sometimes joined with two other co-hosts, three other co-hosts, depending on how many other co-hosts decide to come through. We have SB, we got Chill Will, we got KJ, we got Mark, we got Nat, we got a whole squad, we got a whole production company, yet I still be the only one here. You understand? Because I'm the face.
The face.
I'm like Murdoch in 18. Actually, no, that wasn't Murdoch's name. It was Face. You know what I'm talking about. Like Face. Before the season started, right? And you guys can't see the board fully. Before the season started, KJ, Mark, and I, as the season goes on, we like to make predictions, right? And one of the predictions that we made, which you guys obviously cannot see, but I just put the camera up there, is how many wins were the Dallas Cowboys going to get? And this actually wasn't a prediction. The actual prediction that was made by me was, you realize that the Cowboys are going to win this division, and it won't take more than 9 games to win this division. As it currently stands right now, I am set to be right. And I'm set to be wrong. At the same time. Because the next closest team to Dallas in that division is the Philadelphia 76ers, who currently have a record of 8-7. So if they split their next 2 games, there goes a record of 9-8, and there goes it taking 9 wins to win this division. Philadelphia Sixers win their next 2 games, throws everything out, and it would have taken more. But I said this beginning of the year. Dallas Cowboys is their division to lose, and it's not going to take more than 9 wins to win this division. After I said that, my co-host Mark came and doubled down. And he said, not only will the Dallas Cowboys win this division, they'll win this division with 12 wins. The Dallas Cowboys currently have 11 wins. We counted them out against Arizona. But that very last game, folks, that very last game, to truly determine if I'm right or if he's right. Actually, in a weird way, I'm going to end up being wrong but right. And he's going to end up being wrong and right. Because let's say the Dallas Cowboys lose this game against Arizona. Philadelphia ends up winning this next game. They move up to 9-8. Right? Or they move up to 9-7. Dallas Cowboys fall to 11-5. That very next game is Dallas versus Philly for the last game of the season. If Philly wins, right, then that means they would have done this it would have taken more than 9 games to win that division, but Dallas Cowboys still would have won it. But if Cowboys win, right, and they had a record of 9-8, not only is Mark right, but I'm right. The Dallas Cowboys would have won that division, and they wouldn't have required more than 9 wins to do it. That's something else we're going to be watching as the NFL season comes to an end and we start working into the postseason. The NBA is just about coming towards the middle of their season, folks. Like I said, the Christmas Day games just passed, and this is when most eyes usually start focusing on the NBA. NHL is in full effect. Baseball is still on strike, in case you haven't been paying attention. And I'm tired of rambling. So I'm going to ask my producer, something that I ask my producer almost the end of every show. If you don't mind, kind sir, can you please play the outro so I may stop rambling?
Sorry, B. I tried. Honest.
What did we miss?
All the bandwidth in the world couldn't keep me contained. No lag. No lag. Gonna share my talents with Podbean Live.
I'm not having a show on Friday.
Always knew I'd take the pod.
I'm either going to be working or playing 2K.
Just a lot later than a lot of listeners.
That's not me partying. What am I saying? That's a text message. What the hell are we doing for New Year's Eve?
Well, maybe not the last.
You're gonna be cooking.
Got good.
Cooking for what?
New.
For New Year's.
Improved. MyT podcaster.
I don't know about all that. Oh, what is this?
Potted down.
Where did that come from? Oh my God!
What happened? What's on there?
Bars closed.
The curtain is lifted up.
I thought there was a roach or something running
Heard
around.
the casino got a buffet breakfast.
Get him!
Don't want
Yeah.
to go far.
Yeah.
Wild night. Tired, B. Tired. MyT.
Sports. Alright, so we're out of here. Let's make sure we stop everything.